So this is part 6, guys. It's the longest video I think I've ever made. Hang in there, guys. So yeah, so she weren't happy the fact that I was pregnant, and she spent time guilt tripping me. And there was one time she left her laptop open, and excuse me, and I saw a message that she wrote to one of her friends in America, one of my aunties. And the first line of the message was, "Delphine is pregnant. Can you believe her?" And my auntie responded back to say, because basically my mom was trying to explain to her how disappointed she was in me of getting pregnant at the age of 19. And my auntie was like, well, you can't force her to get rid of it. What if God says that's the only child she's going to have, and she listens to you and go get rid of it? She'll never forgive you for it. And my mom was like, well, she shouldn't be having a child at this age anyways, blah, blah, blah. And she just went around telling people, you know, she called my grandmother and told my grandmother that I'm pregnant. She expected my grandmother to be upset at me. My grandmother wasn't too upset because it's not like I was, 15, 16 when I got pregnant. I was 19, which means I was already past the adult age. So, I mean, she wasn't angry at me at all. But my mom wanted her to be, and because she wasn't, my mom started to behave some type of way. She was very angry at me. I remember when I was about 6 months pregnant, she threw a knife at my stomach. She said she was angry and she went and go sleep over her friend's house. And it was a lot for me, because at that time, being my first pregnancy, I wasn't feeling so good. I wasn't well, and the pregnancy did take a lot out of me, where I had to start doing my coursework because I was in college. I started to do my work from home because the pregnancy was just making me so sick, and I couldn't move around much, and I was in pain most of the time, and it wasn't easy, you know. It was just so hard for me. And yeah, so she wanted to travel, and everyone was telling her, don't travel, your daughter's pregnant. And so she traveled anyway. She did send me money like every week while she was out there, but for me it wasn't the money thing, it was the fact that I was pregnant. Like, I would expect her to be there for me, but she said she didn't want to. So sometimes I was just so in pain. So what I ended up doing is I ended up going to my auntie's house, because over the years, when me and my mom will get into arguments, I'll leave her house and I'll go stay at my auntie's, and the police will get involved, and I'll come back, and then I'll go back, and it was like a vicious cycle. So I went to my auntie's. She's absolutely lovely. When I'm in pain, she'll rub my back. She'll make me food to eat, you know, try to encourage me to eat, because I wasn't eating as much because I was just so ill. And basically, it was a lot to take in. At the moment, I was going through a lot with the father of my kid as well. Basically the same way my mom had me. History repeated itself as the same way I had my daughter. And when my mom came back from Africa, shit got heavy for me. While she was there, she found out I was at my auntie's, and that's where I was staying because I wasn't feeling well. And what ended up happening is she called me all the way from Sierra Leone, and she was like, you need to go back home. I don't want you at that woman's house. This, and that. I send you money, so you need to stay there. And for me, it's like, okay, you're sending me money, but yes, we were living with 2 other people at the time, but they went about their business and did what they wanted to do. They're not there to come take care of your pregnant daughter, you understand? So no one was helping me. Like, even one of my friends, she used to come over, like her mom will cook and she'll bring me food and cereals and things, because to even get up to do food shopping was hard. So I ordered a lot of junk food and stuff because I couldn't physically do things for myself. And so that's why I went to my auntie's, but she made such a hassle about it. Stressed me out, ended up in A&E because of all the stress and pressure she was putting on me to go back home. So my auntie was like, just go back home, and if you need anything, just let me know. Then came when she came back. Her friend was talking to her about, obviously, when I'm giving birth, for her to be in a room and things like that. She said she didn't want to be in a room with me because she's not happy that I'm pregnant, and she just feels like if she's in a room, she'll say things to me that I would not like, and so she doesn't want to be a part of the process, basically. The day I went into labor, God, it was bad. The reason why I say it was bad is because my mum proceeded to humiliate me on that day. So I went into labor. This was going to close to midnight. I started feeling the pains. I was on the phone to one of my friends, and we were counting my contractions, and basically they were getting closer and closer, and I was in so much pain. I was basically sitting on the floor. I was naked in my room. I just had like a bra on and panties, and I threw up all over the floor because I was feeling so sick, so ill. I couldn't move. I was in excruciating pain. And the person that lived with us, I said to her, go get my mom. I think it's time for me to go hospital. This pain is too much. I can't bear it. And so she woke up my mom. My mom came in the room. And this woman looks at me. And she said to me, why did you wake me up from my sleep? And I said, Mom, I'm in a lot of pain. I think it's time for me to go hospital. I've been counting my contractions. They're getting closer. I need to go hospital because they were like 5 minutes apart at this time. And she was like, why am I waking her up from her sleep? No one asked me to go open my legs. I need to get up from the floor, go take a shower, and come back to bed. I said, at this moment, I cannot move. I'm in too much pain. I can't move. And she started yelling at me, get up from the floor. Go take a shower. Did you not know this is what pregnancy was about when you went to go get yourself pregnant? And I was just thinking in my head, this is not the time to be saying these things to me. And sometimes my mom come across very rude. And it was just like, there was even one instant where I wanted to be a model. And so I was told by a guy to meet him somewhere. At that time, I didn't really know London that much. He gave me a York address, and I thought, it said it was an hour something away. So I jumped on a coach and I went there. And when I went there, I then started to realize that this is not a modeling job. It's just a guy pretending to be, in the business kind of thing. Basically, I went missing for 3 days. Within those 3 days, I spent those 3 days imprisoned. I was sexually assaulted over and over. I was raped numerous times. He basically, I can't explain it to this day. He basically took me to the bus, gave me a bus ticket to go home. By the time he said he was going to go stand over there and he'll watch me till I get in a bus. I turned around just for maybe about a minute or two. And when I turned back around, he was gone. I don't know how fast he left, but he was gone. I was now missing for 3 days. I came back home on the coach. Basically, I was homeless in the train station for a while because my phone was dying. I had my charger on me, but where am I going to plug it? I found a dodgy plug in the train station. I was sitting on the floor. People thought I was homeless because they were throwing money on my thing. Like, just, they thought I was homeless. So, basically, called my aunt. I found a dodgy plug. Used the plug to charge my phone up just enough to call my auntie. And at the time, until this day, I still didn't tell her what happened. And It's what I love about her the most, is she doesn't force me or pressure me to tell her anything. She's just there for me. And so, because I didn't know much about the UK, she taught me how to find a coach, where to go, so I can come back home. I took the coach home. She paid for it, and I took a coach home. And when I got home, I was so scared. I was so traumatized. I ran up to my mom, and I was crying. And I said to her, I thought I would never see you again. And she said to me, you haven't been home in 3 days. Where were you? So I was explaining to her what happened to me. And she was just so furious. And she said to me, I wish he would have raped and killed you. And I remember this time my stepdad was around. And when he came home, when I told him what happened, he was furious. He wanted us to call the police, which we did. But because I had no way of contacting this guy, I can describe him, but there was not much information I can give, you know? So the case went nowhere. Literally, when I told my stepdad the comment my mom made, my stepdad and my mom got into an argument. And my stepdad was like, how can you be so cruel to your daughter? She's been missing 3 days. You didn't know where she was. She comes back home and she tells you what happened. And for you to say that is so cruel. They got into a massive argument. And yeah, it's just certain things that come out her mouth. To this day, she denies she never said it. But it's something that I can never forget, because I've never been so traumatized in my life. And yeah, going back to the story. So she said to me, don't wake her up from her sleep again. She doesn't want to be bothered with this. No one asked me to off my legs again. And she went back to bed. And so I was in too much pain. I called 999. The ambulance came up the stairs. They literally had to carry me down the stairs because I could not move. I was in a lot of pain. I went with the ambulance, went into the hospital. Now, when I went to the hospital, I was in so much pain. I was on the floor. I had just lost my mucus plug. When they checked, I was only 1 centimeter dilated, which is it was quite funny to me, because it's like all this pain. I'm only 1 centimeter dilated. And the lady was like, I need to go back home. And I was like, I can't go back home. I'm in a lot of pain. I had no one there in the hospital with me. So one of my friends, mutual friend, came over because she didn't live far. And literally, yeah, I mean, I stayed in the hospital because the lady saw that I couldn't move that much. They gave me this bathtub, which I filled up with boiling hot water, because when I sit in water, it relaxes me. I don't feel as much pain. And so I sat in the water and I was there for a while. And then my mom called me. This was like about maybe 4 or 5 hours. I've been at the hospital. She called me and she said, oh, where are you? And I said, Mom, I'm in the hospital. I couldn't take the pain anymore. I called A&E. They came over and they took me. I said, did the lady in the house not tell you? Because I told her to tell you that I'm going to hospital. She said, no, she didn't tell her. I was like, okay, that's fine. She got angry. Oh, so I decided to do this on my own now. I said, Mom, I told you I was in pain. And you said to me, it's not your problem because it's me that opened my legs. So since it's me that's opened my legs, I came to the hospital on my own to deal with what I've put myself in. She now proceeded to call all my family in America and tell them how I went to the hospital without her. I didn't even tell her I was going. I didn't wake her up or nothing. You told me, and like I told her, you told me not to wake you up and disturb your sleep. So that's what I did. And I said to her, at that moment, I was in so much pain. I said to her, Mom, I don't want to argue with you, so I'm going to apologize. I am sorry if I didn't wake you up for you to come with me to hospital. You told me to not wake you up, and that's why I didn't wake you up. I'm in the hospital now if you want to come. And she said to me, I ain't coming to that hospital. I'm not going to come until your daughter's born. And I said, okay, that's fine. All my family calling me, telling me, why didn't I tell her I was going to hospital? This, and that. I'm trying to explain to people that that's not how it happened. Once again, making me look like the evil child. So yeah, my daughter had a problem with her heart. Right when I was about to push, her heart stopped, and they pressed a button on the wall. All these doctors came in, and basically I had to be rushed into the theater. I had to have an emergency C-section because they were trying to save her life. It was a very scary moment for me. My friend called the person who at the time we believed was the father of my child, letting them know what was going on, this and that. I don't remember anything else because they had to put me to sleep because I was so anxious and so nervous that basically I threatened to punch one of the doctors in their face because they kept putting the oxygen mask on my face. And I don't like the oxygen mask. It makes me feel claustrophobic, and so I didn't like it. And so when the doctor heard me threatening the other one, they said, you know what, let's just put her to sleep. It will make it so much easier and quicker because we need to get this baby out of here before she dies. And so they put me to sleep. So all I can remember is just falling asleep, and I woke up. And when I woke up, the first thing I said was, where's my daughter? And she was right there at my footside, and they brought her over to me, and looking into her eyes, she was just beautiful. She was... I never felt so much happiness as I did in that moment. She was beautiful, and I will never forget her. She's just staring at me, and I was just staring at her, and it was beautiful. It was such a lovely moment. And like a few hours after that, the person who we thought was the dad of my child came to the hospital, and he met her, and he was holding her. And I remember the funniest thing happened. Like, I was trying to get out of bed, and I was like, you just had a C-section, you can't get up. And I was like, but I need to use the toilet. And what I didn't realize is when you have a C-section, they put like a catheter in. And so as I was saying that I needed to use the toilet, I was on so much morphine. I was so high. As I was saying, like, you know, I need to use the toilet, the wee was already going into the bag, but I didn't realize it. And so he said to me, you're already weeing in the back. You have a catheter on, so you don't need to go to the toilet. You're already using the toilet. And I remember laughing. And I just went back into bed, and I was just like, wow, I just feel embarrassed. But yeah, it was crazy. And then after that, I called my mom, and that's when she came to the hospital. She literally didn't step foot in that hospital till my daughter was born. And when she came over, she held my daughter and stuff like that. Obviously, I had to have him go because there was already commotion about who's the father, and my mom not agreeing with him being there and all of that. So I made him go before she got there. So he left, and then she came. And yeah, I mean, everything was good. I stayed in hospital for a bit. She'd come over, she would help me. My mom was very helpful after I had my daughter. And then she found out the day that I came home, she found out that the person who we thought was the father of my baby came to the hospital, because he even came over after she left, and he would stay till like midnight just trying to help me with her and stuff. And she found out about that, and she was extremely angry. So my daughter was about 3 or 4 days old, and I'll never forget this. And when we came home, she was so angry, and she was so upset that this guy came to the hospital. And I remember calling one of my friends, and I was crying, and I said to them, she's trying to kill my baby. Basically, my mom got so upset. She said that me and my baby needs to leave her house. And when I said to her, I have nowhere to go, I just had a C-section. Because first of all, when I first walked into the door, I wasn't feeling nothing from the waist below. So there was like a puddle of blood on the floor. And I didn't even realize I was bleeding. So yeah, I cleaned that up and stuff. And she said we need to leave her house since I don't want to listen to her and I just want to do things behind her back. I already went to the hospital without her. And now I let the dad see her. And there hasn't been a DNA test done yet. And so my mom said I had to go. I said I can't go anywhere, this and that. She now tried to go into the room to take my 3-day-old daughter and throw her outside on the pavement floor. Now, as she was starting to enter, because we lived with 2 other people, the guy that was there basically had to tackle her, hold her down, and then I had to run in and go get my baby girl so she doesn't take my baby and throw her outside, basically. And I just couldn't believe it. And my mom is so manipulative again. What she did was, I'm going to tell you next what she did, because it's going on to video number 7 now.